Okay, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino, and we have a lot to talk about today, and I mean that. Let's start off with the dates here. So it is Thursday, April 2nd, 2020. Crude oil made an historic gain, the largest in history, and I want to talk about what is driving it, and it's pretty incredible. Let's start off with these markets here. So a rally on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average put on 450, 460 points, despite 6.6 million people filing for unemployment. That brings the total to around 10 million in the past 2 weeks. Market shrugging it off, at least for now. Okay, 10-year yield 0.61. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically, near 7,000. If you know my work, I told you to start buying it at 3,700. It's going to 10, in my opinion. If we hit 10, I will readdress it at that point. Anyway, gold put on a nice gain. Silver put on a nice gain here. Again, exploding debt. But let's look deeper into this. So it was being reported, and President Trump had claimed that he had brokered a deal. He had brokered a deal between Russia and OPEC to cut production. All of a sudden, crude oil just started screaming higher. What did that do? The entire energy sector, the big oil companies that are all going to meet President Trump, very interesting the way this has been timed here. Big oil took off across the board. The entire energy sector moved up, pulled the stock market with it. Now, there is all kinds of conflicting reports, and I want to thank all of you out here. However, please don't send me any more. I can't read them. I had got bombarded with people sending me contrary reports. Russia is denying this. OPEC is denying this. There were no talks at all. They have no plans to cut production. So someone is, or some entity is lying here. Either the president is lying or Russia and OPEC are lying. I don't know what to make of it, but what I can tell you is crude oil bought it. Boom, historic gain, like 22% or so. And the stock market bought it as well. Only time will tell who is telling the truth here. Did President Trump actually broker a deal to push crude higher, to push cash into big oil corporation stock, making their shareholders more wealthy than they are already, the CEOs as well? Look, here's the bigger picture. Is the petrodollar at risk here? Let's talk about that real quick. The only reason why the US dollar is the world reserve currency is because of the petrodollar. How does the petrodollar work? Well, if any nation wants to buy oil from an OPEC nation, it must first convert its currency into US dollars. What that does is create an everlasting demand for US dollars. Okay. Now, why would OPEC decide to or agree to price their oil in US dollars? Well, it's pretty simple. For guaranteed protection, guaranteed military protection, US military protection of their oil. It goes beyond that. So the president today, it seems, is going out of his way to protect the price of crude oil and to protect big oil because he must defend the petrodollar. Understand this. Regardless of what you may have read in history books, the entire Vietnam War and every death on every side was sacrificed to establish the petrodollar. You understand that? If you don't, you need to start educating yourself. Most members of the United States military have no idea that their lives are on the line. Their lives will be sacrificed to defend the petrodollar. If the petrodollar were actually threatened by China, Russia, or whoever, we would see unbridled death or uncontrolled death on an epic scale. This is how the central banks have their stranglehold on the world via the petrodollar, via the Federal Reserve. Period. That's how it works. So you have to wonder what's happening here. If it turns out, and I sincerely hope this is not true, and please put politics aside, if it turns out that President Trump lied today and he did not broker a deal for OPEC to cut oil production, and it was just a ploy to push crude oil higher, historic gain, to fuel the entire energy sector, all the big oil companies got bid up like you cannot believe. If this was all that was, this is a felony. It's a crime. It's stock fraud. It's market manipulation to the absolute highest order. That's the truth here. If that's what turns out to be true, President Trump needs to be placed in handcuffs and locked up immediately. Okay. What also would need to be looked at, if it's true, is who put in buy orders with regard to oil derivatives or big oil derivatives prior to the announcement. A lot of people would have to be arrested. Of course, you realize this would never happen. Even if the president were caught red-handed in a blatant lie, which is stock fraud, if I did it, I would be locked up for the rest of my life. President Trump could do it and smile. So can all the people that he more than likely told to buy right prior to his announcement. And if you don't think that happened, you have no idea what really is going on behind the scenes here. It's pretty bad. We'll talk more about that. If it turns out that OPEC and Russia are lying and the president did broker some kind of a deal, well, that also will have to be looked at. But regardless of how it actually went, crude oil bought it, the market bought it, the entire energy sector bought it, boom. And so did the stock market on the back of that. So I think we need to find out at least who's telling the truth here. I would like to give the benefit of the doubt to the President of the United States. Mr. President, I sincerely hope this was not a ploy. If it was a ploy, well, then I guess we'll have to see how this plays out. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of other things that happened today, and I want you to look this up for yourself. It turns out that something very eerie is going on in Vermont. Vermont is now the first state to put limitations on what they deem are non-essential items that you cannot buy. Again, this is a test run. I'm certain of it. They want to see what they can get away with in this neo-Nazi, neo-national socialist United States of America, the new America. So they're telling you in Vermont now what you can and cannot buy. Look it up for yourself. One of those things that they're putting curtails on or not allowing you to buy is books. Books are considered non-essential. Seeds, like, you want to grow your own food, also are deemed non-essential and you cannot buy them. Please don't take my word for this. Look it up for yourself. I will not place a link anywhere. I want you to do your own homework as always. Okay, so that's where we are at. We are actually in a police state. And trust me on this. We're going down a very, very dangerous path. If you know history at all, when you see this kind of action, who's deciding for you? Who's making your choices for you? Well, it's obviously the government or the state government in this case. They want to see what they can get away with, the federal government, by saying what you can and cannot buy, what is essential to you. You cannot make that decision. Remember I told you the three enemies of man: ignorance, fanaticism, and tyranny. Tyranny is the final blow where they take away your ability to think. In this case, you can't even dream about buying things because you're not allowed to. Is this the United States of America that you used to know a couple of months ago? No. This is the new neo-Nazi National Socialism philosophy of the new America. And she welcomes you with open arms. There's no doubt about it. This is a test run. They always do this. They want to see how people in Vermont are going to act or not act as they have their freedom stolen from them. Can't buy books. You don't believe me? Look it up for yourself. Can't buy seeds. A whole bunch of other things. For you ladies out here, or maybe some men, you can't buy beauty products. No. You can't make yourself look nice. And they'll probably be dictating to you what kind of clothing you're allowed to purchase at 1.2. Again, I was on the phone yesterday with Gerald Celente for about an hour. And we discussed a lot of things here. I'm going to be conversing quite often with Gerald about this new thing that we are in here. Maybe you want to ask Gerald about these things as well. I'm obviously not at liberty to talk about what we discussed. But anyway, I will always keep you on top of what I think you need to know, and Gerald will too, with beyond any doubt. So just be ready for what's coming down the pike here, people. I don't think you understand it. And again, always have the high ground. There's a reason why our forefathers put certain clauses, certain wording in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. There's a reason for this, okay? And I want you to understand that what we're seeing now is going contrary to what our forefathers wanted. Today, our politicians, they're lucky if they can go outside and start a lawnmower. Well, our forefathers started a nation, and we're watching our freedoms be stolen right from under our nose. And the test bed seems to be Vermont right now. Let's see where else it starts to get out there, where they can tell you what's essential. You can't have this because it's not essential. Even if you feel it's essential for you, doesn't matter. They want to see what they can get away with. Let me ask you, what are you going to allow them to get away with? Are you going to lay down like a sheep? You're going to embrace the new America, this new neo-Nazi National Socialistic philosophy? Is that what you want to do? Well, if that's the case, then good. Let's see how you feel with a boot on your throat, because that's what's coming next. They're taking away your ability to think, your ability to choose. All right? They're going to take away a lot of other things too down the line here. Again, what do they do first? They strike at your ability to speak. So channels like mine, free thought, free action, free movement, that'll be all gone. Then they're going to strike at your convictions or what you believe, those things that you hold dear to you. And then the final blow, the death blow, tyranny, you can't even make a choice as to what you want anymore. You can't think. You understand? We're seeing this unfold in exactly that pattern here. So regardless of what the stock market does, I don't give a damn where it goes. I didn't have a great day. I made like $1,015 today trading this market. So I'm not talking out of anger. I had a pretty good day. Not a great day, not a bad day, a decent day trading this market. And I don't care which direction it goes. It wants to go up, great, I'm going to make money. It wants to go down, great, I'm going to make money. It's going to stay flat, great, I'm going to make money there too. How would I trade these things from my lines out here? It's just so simple. If we believe the market's going higher, well, we're going to buy calls, but we're going to keep our positions hedged. If we think it's going to drop, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to buy puts, hedging those positions as well. If we feel like it's going to go trade flat or sideways, well, what would be the best play there? A credit spread. It's so simple. It really is. And we're going to make money just like the big Wall Street banks do. The market doesn't matter, okay? For a trader, for an investment bank, it's laughable. People worry when their investments only make money if the stock market goes up. and they cry and scream and say it's a rigged game, it's not fair. And then, traders and investors and the big banks, we just take it all in stride because we don't care. That's the truth. You care if you're stuck on the wrong side of this market. And I've been warning you about this since time immemorial. How about physical gold and silver? Try to get some. The premiums right now on physical gold and silver are off the Richter scale. And for those of you that have been waiting and waiting and waiting, I'm sorry to tell you, you really did miss the boat on this one. Regardless of what the spot price is doing, the premiums here are as much as 50%, 100% in some cases. 90%. 50% seems to be the norm. 90% is happening right in your face. So again, as the Fed dollarizes the world, the Fed is pumping trillions of dollars to central banks around the world. It's common knowledge now. When I told you all before it was announced, I told all of you this was happening before it was announced. Okay, just like so many other things, like the market top recently, like Bitcoin at 3,700. I told you where crude oil was going to go. Actually, went past my target price. I mean, I could go on and on here, on and on here. My record stands for itself. The fact that I've been wrong one time in an entire decade with regard to calling what the Federal Reserve would do, yeah, I think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to these markets. And I'm telling you right here and right now, your freedoms and your liberty are under attack like you have no idea. And if you are not ready, you're going to end up not just on the lower rung of society. I mean, this is a ploy here to have extreme haves and extreme have-nots. But you're going to be dead. You're going to lose your life if you feel like you're not going to comply. But it is my hope that when this thing that we are in, this neo-Nazi, National Socialist philosophy that is now pervading this new America, once it plays out and people start to realize they got to act, there's going to be an uprising like a phoenix out of the rubble, out of the burnt, charred remains of whatever is left that I don't think they're ready for. And I can promise you, I will be leading the freaking charge. Understand that? I hope you do. I hope you understand where I'm going with this. If you are a subscriber to my free newsletter, I sent out a private message to all of you, and I hope you got it. I know that a lot of you already read it. I can tell how many were opened. I will not discuss what I said on this blog here. The only way for you to find out, because I cannot put this out publicly, is to subscribe to my newsletter. There is a link in the description of this video. Some things cannot be put out publicly, although this is it's a private newsletter. It only goes to those of you that subscribe to it. And if you do get my private message, I would hope I could count on you to delete it, get it off your computer. With that said, I think I covered some important things here. I think exceedingly important, more so than the markets, goes beyond whatever really is happening with crude oil. Did Trump lie? Did he not lie? Is this a ploy to defend the petrodollar? Who knows what this really is? I guess time will tell. With regard to this market, it's going lower. I don't care what they're going to do or what they're going to throw at it. They're going to try to prop it up by things you can't even dream about. How many years have I been saying that? Maybe this is a ploy. President Trump today. Oh, I brokered a deal between Saudi Arabia and Russia. Sounds a little iffy to me, but maybe he did do it. And if he did, well, you can expect to pay more for crude oil. You can expect to pay more for energy. Again, the president is not on your side. None of them, Nancy Pelosi, is not on your side. They are all angled sharply against you. You don't matter. Your blood and guts are going to grease the wheels of the machine. That's all you are. You are a means to an end. You are a pawn. You, your children, your loved ones are nothing. Zero. You'll be squashed like a bug. So once you understand that, once you see what's going on here, this is a neo-Nazi, National Socialist philosophy that has taken over the United States. You're going to start to see, I'll tell you a trend you're going to see. You're going to start to see neo-Nazis like you cannot believe. The skinheads are going to rise. The skinheads are going to rise up. Not only are the skinheads going to rise up, the skinheads are going to be embraced by the new world order, by the new America. You think I'm wrong? Let's see. I love you all. Please share the video, and I will see you tomorrow.